The Islamic Republic of Iran, better known as the world's leading state sponsor of terrorism, is no more. That's what President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu have announced to the world. Today we'll be looking at how the death of Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, has impacted the world. We'll also be looking at how this all got started back in June of last year after President Trump initiated Operation Midnight Hammer, which totally obliterated Iranian nuclear facilities. What role did the continuous genocide of innocent Iranian protesters play in all this? What does the future hold in the region? Let's find out.
Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. This wretched and vile man had the blood of hundreds and even thousands of Americans on his hands and was responsible for the slaughter of countless thousands of innocent people all across many countries. Last night, all over Iran, the voices of the Iranian people could be heard cheering and celebrating in the streets when his death was announced. The entire military command is gone as well, and many of them want to surrender into saving their lives. They want immunity. They're calling by the thousands. Combat operations continue at this time in full force, and they will continue until all of our objectives are achieved. We have very strong objectives. They could have done something 2 weeks ago, but they just couldn't get there.
Celebrations erupting across the globe after Iran's supreme leader was killed as part of Operation Epic Fury, giving Iranians new hope for their future.
Since 1984, the Iranian regime has financed, trained, and armed a network of proxy militias across the Middle East to destabilize the region, attack U.S. interests, and threaten the existence of Israel. Groups like Hamas, Hezbollah, and the Houthis, just to name a few. For decades, they've been working to obtain nuclear weapons to eliminate their enemies around the world. U.S. government intel has credited the Iranian regime with hundreds, if not thousands, of U.S. casualties over the years. And of course, who could forget October 7, 2023, resulting in the deaths and other atrocities of over 1,200 innocent Israelis. In June of 2025, President Trump knew the regime was just weeks away from going nuclear and wouldn't negotiate with U.S. to stop. So he had to make the obvious move. Operation Midnight Hammer. Take a look.
Over 125 aircraft were involved in the strike. The initial battle damage assessment was provided by President Trump last night.
Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
His top military advisor said this the morning after.
Initial battle damage assessments indicate that all three sites sustained extremely severe damage and destruction.
Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth says the mission against Iran is not open-ended and is not about regime change. Brett?
Vice President of the United States, J.D. Vance, joins us now. Mr. Vice President, why this operation and why now?
Well, good evening, Jesse. So to step back just a little bit, if you go back to Midnight Hammer in the summer, what the president wanted to do with that mission was eliminate Iran's ability to build a nuclear weapon. And we did destroy the nuclear enrichment facilities during Operation Midnight Hammer over the summer. Now, here's the thing, Jesse. We destroyed Iran's ability to build a nuclear weapon during President Trump's term. We set them back substantially. But I think the president was looking for the long haul. He was looking for Iran to make a significant long-term commitment that they would never build a nuclear weapon, that they would not pursue the ability to be on the brink of a nuclear weapon. And after months, really almost a year of painstaking diplomacy, what the president determined is he didn't want to just keep the keep the country safe from an Iranian nuclear weapon for the first 3-4 years of his second term. He wanted to make sure that Iran could never have a nuclear weapon, and that would require fundamentally a change in mindset from the Iranian regime. So he saw that the Iranian regime was weakened. He knew that they were committed to getting on that brink of a nuclear weapon, and he decided to take action because he felt that was necessary in order to protect the nation's security.
Back in January this year, word started to spread around the world that Iranian citizens were being slaughtered in astronomical numbers by the regime. As you'll see from last week's State of the Union address, President Trump acknowledged the genocide and the growing threat of Iran once again building nuclear weapons facilities. Watch this. FAFO.
As president, I will make peace wherever I can, but I will never hesitate to confront threats to America wherever we must. That's why in a breakthrough operation last June, the United States military obliterated Iran's nuclear weapons program with an attack on Iranian soil known as Operation Midnight Hammer. For decades, it had been the policy of the United States never to allow Iran to obtain a nuclear weapon. Many decades. Since they seized control of that proud nation 47 years ago, the regime and its murderous proxies have spread nothing but terrorism and death and hate. They've killed and maimed thousands of American service members and hundreds of thousands and even millions of people. They've killed at least, it looks like, 32,000 protesters. 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hung them. We stopped them from hanging a lot of them with the threat of serious violence. But this is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons. Yet they continue, starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again, and are at this moment again pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
In that State of the Union speech, the president outlined what was coming because they kept playing games with us. A true case of FAFO. Let's take a look at Senator Chuck Schumer's reaction to all this. He's always got something ignorant to say in times like these. This time, it's about how the president violated the War Powers Act, whatever that is. So don't let us down, Chucky. Don't let us down. Take a look.
What they're saying, things are just not true, that it wasn't illegal, or for that they did not violate War Powers Resolution from 1973.
Right. So you will vote in what way on Tuesday?
Well, of course, I'm going to vote it. I'm going to vote it down. It's really it's not necessary. Honestly, the entire thing. It's really an empty gesture. There's not going to be any votes. But when you're not even breaking the War Powers Resolution, why are you even doing that? I'm tired of seeing people, go on social media and saying we can never allow Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb, and Israel always deserves insecurity, and they deserve to exist. Well, if you're not willing to do about it, then it must just be empty words. Yeah. Are you really? Does it matter? No. But when President Trump was willing to do the kinds of things that are necessary to provide those things. Now, if you really want to prevent Iran to acquire a nuclear bomb, he did try to negotiate with them. There has been treaties. There has been other negotiations that never worked.
Why has Donald Trump started a new war with Iran? Let me be clear. I will not shed a tear for Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, who was killed in the initial rounds of airstrikes over the weekend. For decades, Khamenei sponsored terrorist attacks against American troops. He called for the destruction of Israel and America. And under his rule, the people of Iran have suffered immensely.
I think that it is imperative the Democratic Party wake up and get past their dislike of Donald Trump, the President Trump, and their feelings of international conflicts going on. This is about national security. This is about what is possible in the Middle East. This is about being a good neighbor, good partner to the Gulf states and what their aspirations are. This is about supporting the people of Venezuela. This is about dismembering our relationship with, or not dismembering, but resetting our relationship with China. Right now, 55% of the oil production that Iran produces goes to China despite sanctions. You want to support the people of Ukraine? You want to end that war? You have to. There is no getting around dismembering this Islamic Republic. It is non-negotiable. It is not a want to have. It is a have to have. And it's not just for the Iranian people. I think you have to trust the Iranian people. We know this government better than anyone else.
Donald Trump has just launched America into a full-scale conflict against one of our most fervent adversaries without a plan, without an endgame, and without authorization for Congress or even a debate in full view of the American people. The consequences are already mounting, as I've said. 4 American service members have been killed. Several others have been wounded. And the president says many more casualties are likely to come.
When you dismember and decapitate this regime, you are going to see a change in the Middle East, in Venezuela, in China, in Ukraine. And I think, quite frankly, their ideology has it's caused a lot of problems for us worldwide. We need to take it seriously. And I think at this point, we have a tremendous opportunity. This will be like ending the Soviet Union, the Berlin Wall. This is a transformational moment for humankind, for security. And as an American, this is in our interest to complete it. So I am a Democrat. I have been a huge Democrat. I am incredibly disappointed with my party. I do not see myself in them in this moment.
What the War Powers Act requires of a president: 48 hours. The president must notify Congress if U.S. forces enter hostilities. 60 days. Military action may continue for 60 days, plus 30 days to withdraw, unless Congress authorizes or declares war. Congress retains power, declaration of war, authorization, funding, control. What it is not. It does not automatically prohibit military action. It regulates timing and reporting. This is crap. Donald Trump is not going to pay attention to. Times the president took military action and had to go through this. I can remember all kinds of conflicts, and this is crap. Nice try, Chuck. Nice try. How do you feel about the president's actions on this? teaming up with Israel and other nations in the Gulf states to neutralize the Iranian regime. Do you think anything will come of the War Powers Act? Like, share, subscribe, and leave comments below. Like a phoenix rising from the ashes. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you.